Hello everyone, my name is Riffy, and today we'll be playing KENSHI, and as you can see from the Choose Your Beginning dialogue open here, we will be playing as a lone wanderer. We start off with around 1,000 cats and nothing but a pair of pants and a rusty club ready to venture out into the world. Here we are in the character creation menu. I'm going to jump ahead to when we finish the customizations, however. Now that we are finished making our character, we're going to name him Krill, and we're ready to start our adventure. Starting off in the border zone, we can see that we really don't have much to start out with. We are a lone warrior with all stats roughly equaling to 1. My goal for this playthrough is to become a fearsome warrior feared throughout the land. However, we're going to rush straight over to this little building right here because it does have a very valuable item, especially for the early game, known as grog. Grog is worth quite a bit of money, and there's none in this chest here, but we can take some of the more valuable items such as the leather. The grog, however, is on the table, so we can just go ahead and pick it up. Afterwards, we're going to have Krill move over to the bar and sell those two items immediately in exchange for food and a little bit of medicine. After we buy the items, I'm going to have Krill run around for a little while to level up the athletics stat. I would head straight over to the Shet Kingdom, however I don't really feel like that's a good idea seeing as they're very biased against Greenlanders and anyone that is not of bone people. Our first couple of days are going to be spent here in the border zone for easy trading and doing other sorts of things like mining. We would mostly be mining copper because it is quite valuable. I am going to set Krill to explicitly block attacks so that we can train him how to defend himself and dodge incoming attacks before learning how to attack. We are going to unequip Krill's Iron Club so that he can train some of his dodge and martial arts stats before we begin our melee defense and melee attack stats. As we move down the hill, we can see Krill is training his athletics stat. And as you can see, our run speed is only about 16 miles an hour, which is not very good. Recommended speed for most characters is about 20, so having 16 greatly inhibits Krill's ability to run away from threats, especially starving bandits who will immediately steal our food the moment we go unconscious. However, going unconscious does give us a very large bonus to Krill's toughness stat, which is something we're going to need in order for us to survive in the hostile and unforgiving world of KENSHI. However, we don't want to push our luck too far just yet. Taking on a group of starving bandits will more than likely get Krill killed and cut this series short, even with their blunt weapons. It's just simply not a good idea. Now, we want to be able to run away from most threats, but also be able to defend ourselves from the ones that are minor. However, I would consider minor threats non-existent in the state Krill is in right now, and it's almost certain that anything and everything can and will kill him. If we look over here, we can see we have a group of dust bandits. We don't really want to talk to these guys as they're very hostile and dangerous and will more than likely kill us at a moment's notice. We can also see that some of them have crossbows as well as slashing weapons such as horse choppers, which are very dangerous, especially in the early game when Krill has no dodge experience or melee defense. So, we're going to move in the opposite direction, hoping they don't see us. It looks like we got lucky because they didn't, which is very nice and saves us a bit of blood. Once we reach a comfortable speed, we should start mining because the more cats we have in the early game, the better. Another thing I neglected to mention was this passive option down in the bottom right, which allows Krill to enter a non-combat mode, meaning he will never initiate combat without us explicitly telling him to. It will also make him less likely to be attacked by groups of NPCs. It's probably a good idea that I enable this option. However, to gain toughness experience, I don't think we're going to be able to for a short period of time. We can see some escaped servants of the Holy Nation, which is where we're actually going to be going in a very short period of time once we've gathered enough cats to fully sustain ourselves for a little while. Afterwards, Krill will be able to move over there and begin our new life as an Okranite. However, I don't really intend on staying in the Holy Nation, especially when I begin recruiting Sheks, women, and Scorchlanders. We can finally begin mining some copper, which will increase Krill's laboring stat as well as give us some form of income for the time being. We could try scavenging the loot off dead bodies, though I haven't actually been all that lucky running into starving bandits unfortunately, so this is what we're going to have to resort to for a while. Everything seems to be fairly quiet on the grounds of KENSHI, however I am getting a feeling this won't last very long. As nightfall begins to manifest for the first time in the world, Krill will remain up all night mining this copper in order to get his laboring stat higher. This could be a very good time to get Krill's sneaking stat trained, however, I don't really see Krill being a sneaky person. Although it might take up a majority of his early time here, as getting a lot of money and loot is not that easy, especially when you have no cats. And with the third piece of copper mined, we are going to gather it all up and move to the hub. The main reason why I'm doing this is because I feel like we're about to get approached by some starving bandits, which wouldn't be good, especially with Krill mining and being slightly over encumbered. As Krill enters the city, we're going to immediately go into the bar, making sure to sell off all of the copper Krill just mined, which will get us up to about 2.5k cats, which is incredibly nice. Looking at the items in the store, I don't really see myself needing anything at the moment, so it's time to call it a night. With Krill now safe and inside of the hub, we are able to explore the city and its riches, or rather, lack thereof. Talking to the Shinobi Thieves boss right here, we can ask him to join. Unfortunately though, this fee is 10,000 cats, which happens to be way out of our budget for the time being, so we're going to have to pass on that offer. After a short bit of exploration, we can continue training Krill's athletics stat a bit more to get a bit faster. And as the sun shines its rays on Krill, we are going to head back over to the copper vein and begin mining once again. And as we reach 3 copper in the vein again, we're going to pick it all up and rush back into our safe haven. Of course, once again, we're going to sell all of the copper, which should get us up to around 3 to 3.2k cats. What I'm hoping for is that some starving bandits will pick a fight with Krill so that I can bring them back to the bar and have them fight the traitor ninja guards. From the looks of things, we have just encountered our first lone starving bandit who seems to be heavily wounded and semi-crippled from a fight that happened over here. I'm not quite sure what happened, but its bodies are no longer there, meaning it had to be some sort of slave monger group or a predator of some kind, which is something we don't want to mess with right now, so we could probably pick a very short and clean fight with this lone starving bandit. With Krill picking his first fight, he takes a very heavy hit to his left leg, but is gaining some much needed dodging experience. Although his skill is going to develop very slowly, it should help in the long run. Krill is taking a number of blows to the head, left arm, right leg, and left leg, and I believe it's time for him to pull out of this fight. Although his stats are important, it's certainly not worth dying over or losing the food we just bought and setting us back a couple hundred cats. Because the bandit is wounded and his chest is at a very low health and steadily dropping, he should fall unconscious quite soon. He's also moving at a slower pace because he is limping due to the damage to his right leg. Coming up to this bandit, we immediately open his inventory and steal his armor. We need it more than he does and he is apparently dying, so it doesn't particularly make sense for them to keep it. Same with their pants because it can give us a little bit more money. It appears as though the starving bandit that was chasing us has run away. I wouldn't really want to mess with Krill either, knowing he is a very dangerous and scary man. However, I am going to have Krill take the time to heal his wounds for a bit. His first aid stat is level 1, so he's really not good for wound tending, however, it's better than nothing. A bad thing we can see off in the distance, though, is more starving bandits who have come to reinforce their brother. However, just to the right of us, we can see some escaped servants who will more than likely defend us from these attackers. Rushing over to antagonize them some more, we can actually get the escaped servants on their tail to prevent us from losing any more HP. Taking on one bandit at a time is one of the best ideas we can do at the moment, and since there are two that are aggroed on Krill, it's definitely not a good idea to be attacking them back. However, with the starving bandits distracted with the escaped servants, we can turn off our blocking just for a little bit so we can get in some more than needed martial arts skill. Afterwards, we can actually steal and sell their rag pants since they aren't that much better than what we currently have on, so we're definitely going to take them. Unfortunately, though, taking their shirt leaves us with no room for our meat and our medicine, so we're definitely not going to be able to fit it in our inventory. However, their weapon can and most definitely will go into and fit into our inventory, so we're going to take it. Over here, we can see a crippled bandit, which is going to give Krill some more martial arts training. The bandit is currently laying down because he has no method of defense against us, so we can just keep attacking him to farm up our XP. However, for some reason, Krill is feeling merciful today and doesn't want to attack him when he's on the floor. So we're going to have Krill patch himself up and watch as he tries to escape. On top of things, this could also be a very important opportunity for Krill to get some melee attack experience, and it might take a while for this bandit to go down. Seeing as we're not really damaging them all that much, we definitely want to be on the lookout for any would-be trespassers on our fight. And it seems as though both of these starving bandits are either dying or in recovery, so we won't have to worry about them for a long time. And with a toughness stat that is now level 3, we should be able to withstand a bit more punishment from the AI. We can now move back to the hub where we can get some much needed rest from all of the fighting and punishment Krill just took, and also sell off all of the gear we made from that little endeavor. We do end up making a little bit more cats, all for the low price of free. You could probably see that we sold off all of our iron clubs other than the one we stole from one of the hungry bandits. This is simply because of the fact that it does a little bit more cutting and blunt damage than the one we started with, which can prove quite the advantage in a fight, especially at this stage. There's really nothing I really see myself buying from the store either at the moment, so we can head up to one of the beds and fall in it for the day. And with that, I think it's about time I call the episode. We saw the beginning of Krill's adventure, as well as our first few mining trips and our first fight, so hopefully in the next video we can make some more money and make it to the Holy Nation. I hope you all enjoyed this episode of Kenshi and Krill's journey, and enjoy the following episodes that will be released shortly afterwards. However, I do believe in the virtue of quality over quantity, so it may take some time for the next episode to come out. Hopefully you guys won't mind, and I'll see you next time.